From the forges of Amazon and the heart of Bezos were forged millions of rings. They were sent forth throughout the land. Rings that feed on sloth, worry, and fear. Rings that take as they give. Always seeing, always listening. A million rings to watch them all, and with their data, find them.
John and I talk the Ring Doorbell controversy on this week's podcast.
Bald,
blind,
and buddies. Timmy C, how the hell are you, pal?
I'm good. Sunday afternoon, chilling out, podcasting. What? How could it be better, John?
The Harbaughs are famous, and so is the Dan Patrick Show for saying, who has it better than us? Nobody.
Yeah.
The Harbaugh brothers are very famous for saying that. I guess their father incorporated that into his repertoire. But, it's we're under a little bit of a snow Mageddon, if you will, here. I knew it was going to be bad, and I joke that I don't think today's generation would have won World War II because we are decidedly softer. But I got the text about the kids having a study from home day tomorrow. It's called a flexible instruction day or something, a FID. And, I think they've incorporated that as a consequence of COVID, that everybody has a computer now and you can be remote and such. But this came before the first snowflake at 12 o'clock, 12:30 this afternoon. Now, they did say that the rain was going to dramatically switch at about 3 o'clock. And when you know it, literally, we probably have and it's now 5:30 Eastern, we probably have at least 2 to 3 inches of accumulation. We're expected to get a foot to a foot and a half between now and tomorrow morning. So
that'll slow you down.
It will, but I was a little bit surprised that they canceled school that early, and I suppose in retrospect they were correct, but it's just, you couldn't even wait till the snow,
Yeah, we used to have to wait, and every morning, you'd have the radio on. And
yeah, or they do the local broadcast at the schools, right? And the worst was when, your friends went to a different school and they were off, and you had a 2-hour delay. That was the worst.
Yep.
So how's everything out there in Wisconsin? You getting any snow?
No, it's just normal winter, cool, in the 20s, 30s. It's pretty nice.
Oh, and by the way, I'm going to plug my nuts a little bit. You're getting your spicy peanuts. You wanted to try them.
Absolutely.
Your kids have allergies, so they can't indulge in certain nuts, but since Peter's away at school, you're able to do so, right?
Shh. He might be a listener to the podcast, John.
That's okay. So the kid lost $100 I gave him for his graduation. I had to resend it,
Yeah.
How's the family?
They're good.
How are the boys? And Blue Leaf's good?
Yeah, they're good. Doing homework, just the usual Sunday.
And you said Blue Leaf is diving deep into this tariff ruling, huh?
She is. She's been reading the Supreme Court decisions. It's really, when she gets her mind on something, she really understands it well. That's one of her strengths.
I couldn't apply that to someone else I know. So,
yeah.
And by that I mean you.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
So speaking of latching on to things, we've gotten people are watching our one on Notre Dame on YouTube. We're getting good feedback.
Which
on
one?
that.
Oh, the one.
The abortion advocacy professor. That one, John.
I'm surprised you haven't called her pro-death yet. The pro-death professor.
If the shoe fits,
the
John.
Pro-murder.
If the shoe fits.
Just something very nonchalant and vanilla. Like you normally do.
Yeah.
I think people's opinions, if they're hired for a particular job, and I applied the same principle with Bill Clinton. I don't think his personal life is germane to the job that he was hired for. I don't think asking my boss if he's having an affair is appropriate. I think that, these types of things, you can separate the two. And I think she was hired for a particular area of expertise, and that is to be celebrated. Her opinions on other things may not mesh with yours, but have you met professors that are normal? Because I certainly have not.
Well, touche.
Yeah. But anyhow, what are we talking about today, Timmy?
Oh, we should do some trivia, right?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, we had a sports one, and I have a sports one, too, because we just came off of the Super Bowl. Did you watch any of the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I watched a bit of it.
It was a terrible game. Terrible.
Well, the court, yeah. The defenses played well.
They did. And I happen to appreciate a good defensive performance. And at one point, Chris Collinsworth was saying this may be one of the best defensive performances in a Super Bowl that's ever been.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that. I happen to appreciate it. But the owners and the television executives want scoring. And they just didn't get it. The best part of the Super Bowl was the end result for me, which was that the Patriots didn't win.
Right.
And so I was fine with it, but it wasn't a terribly entertaining game. And in fact, my boss, who is from Boston, had said he was at the Super Bowl 10, 12, 15 years ago, whatever it was, where they were down 28-3 against Atlanta. And he said, I had a hunch we could come back against this. He said, we were down 9-0 to Seattle, and I knew the game was over.
Right.
So, because their defense was that good. So,
yeah.
And that's my trivia question after you provide the answer to today's.
Okay. So our last question was, during World War II, when a lot of able-bodied men were sent abroad to fight, the leagues did interesting things to try to keep the teams together, and they combined the Steelers with the Philadelphia Eagles. And what was the name of the resulting team, John? The Steagles.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That sounds...
It totally does. Yeah,
like a St. Bernard and a Beagle or something.
Labradoodles and Steagles. Yeah. So
I mean, that's pretty simple.
Yeah, so...
Eelers, right? Or
the Eelers?
Eaglers.
Well, the Eelers would be kind of cool, like people who catch eels. But I guess it'd be...
Is that actually the verb form of eeling?
An eeler? I actually don't know.
Nor I. But we'll ask our audience, all 12
Yeah. What's the occupation of catching eels? What's that called?
Or further, is that an occupation? You imagine having dinner with that person? God. So, now that's a great one. I love that. And it's particularly germane because I live in Pennsylvania. I live in the southeastern PA area.
Yeah.
And speaking of Super Bowls, by the way, this was a highly rated. And every year they talk about, the viewership and the amount of eyeballs and how much it costs for a 30-second ad. I think it's up to 8 or 9 million, right? You had said?
Yeah, I think it's 8 million for 30 seconds. Yeah.
It's unbelievable, right? Mm-hmm. But this is nowhere close, and it hasn't been in a long time, close to the highest rated Super Bowl of all time. I was actually surprised. I had looked this up during the Super Bowl to see, hey, is it every year that the Super Bowl gets bigger and then that becomes the highest rated? Because I figured as such, right?
Right.
There's more eyeballs and such. I think the opposite is true, which is with the atomization of the media.
Yep.
And the ability to watch whatever you want. There are quite a number, and I know a few, of people who could care less about football. They watch it for the event, but they couldn't tell you which teams were in it or things of that nature. But this wasn't close to the highest rated Super Bowl. And that was some time ago, and I will give you the answer. The highest rated Super Bowl in history. Answer next week.
All right.
Yeah, so
one of the things that happened at the Super Bowl, John, is a little innocuous ad from a company you may have heard of, Amazon or Ring. Have you heard of them?
Ring was the company. Amazon has since purchased them.
Right.
So the founder of Ring, Jamie Siminoff, and I just happen to know that because I hear him on the radio all the time, is probably very, very affluent now. If you get bought by Amazon, I'm sure you're not struggling.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Yeah.
Do you have a Ring doorbell, by the way?
No, John. So we have the dumbest house, and we're proud of this. So
there's an element that could see that with you, and number two, I happen to agree with you.
Yeah. So no Amazon whatevers, no smart thermostats, no smart locks, no Ring doorbells. We're old school. The power went out, John, and we lit a match to start our gas stove and cook dinner once. That is our house.
You have flashlights, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. You're making it sound like you're walking around by candlelight.
Well, we do that, too. But
okay.
So we have a dumb house on purpose.
Okay. Now, I happened to, at one point, sign up for the Amazon Key, which you had just mentioned, which is they will use your garage code or your front door code, and they can put your packages inside and then close it. Mm-hmm. And I had signed up for it. It was free. And I, after a day or two, canceled it because it's very unsettling hearing the garage door open.
Yes.
And it not being someone that you know and again, it's fine. I get the convenience of it, and I appreciate that. It's just not for me. I do have the Nest thermostat. It does, and if Katie happens to listen, she'll be like, I hate that thing, because it learns your patterns. So it becomes energy saving at night. It turns the temperature way down, and you wake up to go to the bathroom, and you're freezing, right?
Yeah. Oh, we have a programmable one where you have to use your own brain and say, I want it to be 64 degrees at midnight.
Yeah, but I don't have a Ring doorbell, and I remember when the kids were born, my sister-in-law had said, don't get the video camera monitor.
Baby monitor,
it's too much information. It's too much information, and you don't need to see the child roll over and blow. And you're gonna, if particularly for young first-time parents, you're gonna panic if you see them. The noise is more than enough, right?
So John, they have one now I just learned of with a sock you put on that measures your child's blood oxygen level.
Oh God!
And for a healthy child, like there's no need for that. Like all it will do, because it'll come off and it'll alarm, and then the parent will be like, "Is the sock on?" And just anxiety recipe.
Yeah, I think that some of this stuff is very, very useful. Like I do like my Apple Watch, but I also am cognizant of the idea that it's too much information. I don't need it to be able to pay Apple Pay with my watch and my Face ID and this and that, and sort of it becomes overwhelming. There's no question about it. Yeah.
So speaking of overwhelming,
we're going back to Ring. Yeah. Let's go back to Ring.
So Ring ran an ad which was supposed to be a touchy-feely. Somebody's dog got lost and the dog got returned home. That was supposed to be the
idea behind it, right, was that if your dog is lost and you have a Ring doorbell, it will activate in the general area other people with Ring doorbells, right, to help track. And they average, and they celebrated this. And you own dogs. I own a dog. Yours is obviously a working dog, but you still have one of your old guide dogs, right?
No, not any longer. But
they passed?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's
As
okay.
I bring the entire mood of the place down. Sorry about that. God. But everyone loves their animals, and the idea behind it is they're averaging a returned lost animal one a day, right?
Yeah.
Where did the blowback and to a certain extent completely understood blowback come from?
Well, and they were using AI, right, to identify the dogs and flag them, right? So let me just do a little segue here, John. When I was a kid, I read a wonderful story. It was called Lassie Come Home, about this collie that was taken way away from the boy it loved and made its way, this hero's journey of home. And it was a story of resilience and a boy's love of his dog. And you couldn't make that story now because the dog wanders away. Boom, you hit a button on your Ring, and then the dog's brought back. It's like a TikTok video or a commercial.
This isn't necessarily a bad thing that you can, like, I'm okay with not having another Titanic. I mean, we have lifeboats now, right? I mean, just because Lassie made it home doesn't mean you want to have that experience, do you?
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that may not be the best example you've ever given.
So I'm proud of this. So Americans saw that commercial and said, hold the phone, people. If my Ring doorbell can track a dog, what else can it track? Can it help ICE find illegal immigrants? Can it, let people know who I am, who I associate with? All these sort of questions. And so people started asking uncomfortable questions. And in the aftermath of that, Amazon decided to block its cooperation with Flock. Do you know who Flock is?
I don't, but I'm assuming it's probably an artificial intelligence company or crowdsourcing company.
It's a video surveillance, like license plate camera company.
Which would have relevance for law enforcement, right?
Yeah, so Ring doorbell, imagine this. Your Ring doorbell seeing you leave, combined with the people who know license plates, could develop profiles on who is where. Now, the government can't do this, but it turns out private companies can, and then sell the results to government.
Get out, really? I did not know that.
Yes. There's an end run around this.
Oh, my God. Okay. So, a couple things I have to put out. Number one, this is in the news now, this horrible story of this Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mother, who disappeared. She had some sort of video. It wasn't a Ring doorbell, but something similar to that. It wasn't on, yet they were able to go back and access the video and then show it to the public, because the public tends to be an ally and a very strong asset in identifying culprits. I mean, you want to catch someone. I mean, that's how, tons and tons of people are caught. That, they recognize them and they call in the police and they say, I think so-and-so, this Luigi Mangione who shot the CEO in New York a couple years ago. He was in McDonald's. A couple people saw him and said, that's the guy. He called the police, right? So that is an asset. What I'm getting at, though, with this example with Nancy Guthrie is it wasn't on, and yet they were still able to activate it, which makes me very uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
Because the whole idea is you're saying to me this isn't recording me, and I worked for a privacy company, Timmy. So maybe part of me understands that this is happening, whether we realize it or not. That doesn't make it right. And the civil libertarian in me is very, very strong on this point. I have nothing to hide. I am extraordinarily boring. I'm a middle-aged dad bod with 3 kids trying to go to work, pay my bills, maybe, go on vacation. That's it. That's the end of the sentence. It doesn't mean necessarily, however, that I want the government listening into my phone calls, which I know they are. Are you part of TSA PreCheck? That's the other thing I was going to ask along with this Nancy Guthrie thing. Doesn't that make you first of all, let me go back to Nancy Guthrie. Doesn't that make you uncomfortable that they were able to access this, show it to the public, which is great that they were able to do that, but the damn thing wasn't on, which tells you that these technology companies are not on the up and up telling you exactly how this stuff is being used.
Absolutely, John. So when this thing, it winds up on your device, you have no control over essentially no control over where the data went, who has it, and who's using it. Like, this is a perfect example. Oh, no, they don't record. Well, it turns out they do. There's an article I have here from 2023 where they found Rings were actually sending some data to China.
And what would be the premise behind that?
Well, supposedly it was like putting...
First of all, how does Ring answer that? How did they justify that? What is the purpose?
That one I don't know. I think I have a link to it. It was if Ring was losing data, it was sending it to a given IP address, and that IP address happened to be controlled by China. Yeah. So
okay.
If you want, I can go through a whole timeline of Ring. Like, Ring has paid settlements to the FTC because people...
the basic premise behind it is that you should be able to see who's coming to your door. And again, that's great, but there are unintended consequences and downsides to these things. That's the thing that I think the American public needs to wake up to. Part of my frustration is the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. They are light years ahead of understanding in terms of technology, and now AI engineers are commanding quite literally like rock star salaries, hundreds of millions of dollars and such, because they're programming as though it's the year 2326, not 2026, and Congress is still stuck with a rotary phone. Yeah, trying to regulate this.
Yeah. The law is in the early 1900s.
Right. And
yeah.
I understand, and the thing that I think Ring was trying to do is talk about people's pets, because you can never go wrong talking about people's pets. And it just happens that yesterday I happened to have on one of those shows in between the Olympics, and it came on and was talking about, environmentalists and young people doing and making a difference in the world. It was one of those Saturday feel-good shows, right? Well, they interviewed Ed Begley Jr., who was a relatively famous actor from St. Elsewhere and some other places. Why are you laughing?
Because there's a Simpsons where he's like, watch me demonstrate my car, which is powered totally by my ego.
Right, so that's exactly what this was about, was how he has the most sustainable house.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me, though, that it's really like he was talking about how he has a system that takes the filtered rainwater from the top of his roof, and then they reuse it in their shower, and then it just continues to recycle. They skipped over the inconvenient part of how much does it cost, and most people can't afford this. And they showed the tank. I mean, it was something like a couple 1,000-gallon tank that's buried in the ground. That's number one. But number two, they did bring up a good point, which they said, look, the way in which we've been able to convince people that sustainability is important is we focus on their pets. Meaning, the pet's walking around your house and they're touching all these toxins and chemicals that are in everyday, cleaning solutions and such. And don't you want your pet to live longer? And they said, if you get people to pay attention to their pets, then they worry about people next. Do you think there's an element of truth to that? Do you think that's why Ring did this? Meaning, focus on the pets and people will follow.
Well, I think it's a no. At one level, it's a marketing no-brainer. You're like, focus on cute animals. What can go wrong? And I'm so glad.
And they found out, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad that people thought for a minute, because my son came home from college and he's like, Dad, did you see the Ring Doorbell ad? Can you believe it?
I didn't see it. Did you see it live?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I only saw it. I saw it a couple days later because of the news.
Yeah.
Associated with the blowback that ultimately came.
It creeped me out. And I did some research. Consumer Reports looked into the privacy policies of these places and basically came to the conclusion that these companies can totally share your data with law enforcement if they think there's a danger somewhere. And it's like, well, where the heck, can't they come up with the case for a danger?
Right. So I have TSA PreCheck. And there are certain elements of me that I've come to just basically say, look, I understand that it's very scary that Amazon knows that I need to order dog bags or I need to order trash bags or fill in the blank every 67 days. But I get these pop-ups that remind me. I'm willing to concede that sort of tracking because, first of all, I don't know how to stop it. It's so pervasive on everything, right?
Yep.
I mean, you have a conversation and you know that Alexa or Siri is listening. I used to work in the privacy space, and one of the things that will happen is lets you and me talk about something completely outlandish. Well, if Siri happens to hear it, all of a sudden you're going to see an ad for that pop up the next time you log onto the internet. You know, I had read this fascinating article about players who have spinal injuries that played sports, and you know there's a company that specializes in making vehicles for these folks. I read the article. Wouldn't you know it, 24 hours later, I'm starting to get targeted ads on the side of my screen for, you know, disabled vans, people with disabilities that need access to vans. A wonderful thing. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But again, the Ring Doorbell is the same thing. It's a wonderful idea. Will help you find your pets. But what else can it do? The fact that I'm receiving this information makes me very, very uncomfortable because that means you're listening to my conversations.
Right. Well, the other thing, though, let's just back up, John. What is the use case for the Ring Doorbell? It's so that you can see who's at your door, right? If you're at home, number one, get off your butt, walk up to the door, and look out the window.
Yeah, and why does everybody have to assume we're in like the wild, wild west where everybody's going to rob you? I mean, I'm sure that happens, but like... Right. You know, with this whole Nancy Guthrie thing, I have a friend of mine who's in the FBI, and he said, look, 98% of the time it's a family member. I'm not accusing the Guthries. I don't know them from Adam.
Right.
But the point being is it's not common for someone to just be kidnapped. It's not common for someone to just be murdered at their front door.
Right.
Right? I mean, there's a gazillion transactions that happen every day that are nonviolent.
Well, the other thing, though, is it enables this.
So go back to get off your butt. I love when you get on your high. What happened? Get off your butt.
just go answer the darn door. And if you bought things from people you could look in the face in your local community who had some interest in making it and making it well, and your world didn't come delivered courtesy of Amazon, your need for a Ring doorbell would also decrease precipitously.
Yeah, but you have to admit Amazon is amazing. I will go to bat for them. I mean, I do understand we're pushing up against the boundaries of acceptable sort of surveillance, particularly in a lot of areas. But Amazon's amazing. You forget something. I could be making dinner and I realize I don't have parsley or something. Literally, I'm convinced Amazon will have it to you before you're finished making dinner.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it's not convenient. I mean, it clearly has a carbon footprint, right? It has a security concerns, like in this case, like... The lifestyle that these devices enable may not be the best for us, right?
Well, I think people just automatically assume everything that about it is malevolent and is good. I think it's like most things in life. You have to be willing to accept the trade-offs, but I don't think people are even aware of the downsides because they're not paying attention. Well,
and the other thing, I mean, your example with the ads, like it's not just they want to know about you, is they want to influence you. Right, and that's even scarier, right?
Let me ask you another thing. Have you gotten to the point now where I almost like it's almost like the legal disclosures that they give you when you get a new cell phone and it's 727 pages long and you click down at the bottom and say I agree? In there, I have no idea what it says.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Right. And why I bring that up is I have TSA PreCheck, which I talked about before. I walk up, it's unbelievably convenient, and they keep your fingerprints and they take a picture of you and they say they're not using it. I don't believe that. Further, I go up to the airport and they have you stand literally and do a facial recognition and they go, okay, you're clear to go. And it's like, well, what happens to my picture now? Now, I have nothing to hide. I don't. And there might be an element written into some sort of arcane law about aviation security that I've conceded that they can store my picture, but they say they don't. But I don't believe them.
Right.
And so that's the frustrating part now is I'm so cynical about all this stuff, but it's so pervasive, Timmy, and it's so omnipresent that I don't know how we're going to get our hands on it. So I suppose the best part of the Ring Doorbell is at least people are starting to sit up and take notice, right?
Yeah, and there is like a stretch of YouTube videos of people taking down their Ring Doorbells. I would encourage folks to think about these privacy compromises that you're making all the time. Do you really need a Ring Doorbell? It's just one example, but it's all over the place, and I think it's eroding what we used to have the private space and the community space. Right now, you're monitored by this reactive commercial enterprise all the time, and it's I don't think it's how humans thrive.
Do you remember when we talked about Notre Dame and the professor? And I said, look, I think the idea of Catholicism sailed a long time ago at Notre Dame with football. I think the idea of privacy sailed a long time ago with social media. People feel the need to share everything, and there's no sort of recognition of a private space. So, I just, to your point, I think that ad actually, of all things, which is ironic, talking about people's favorite things, which is their pets, turns into, people sitting up and taking notice. Hey, good on you. It's an unintended consequence, and maybe people start to ask. But again, I worked for a privacy company, and the amount of information, and California is really the state. There's always a saying that as Europe goes, so goes California. Once California adopts it, you typically see it in Massachusetts, New York, the larger states. They'll adopt similar legislation. And there is what is called the CCPA, the California Consumer Privacy Act. Mm-hmm. It really has teeth as of this year where you can basically say to these people, do not share my data. Do not track me. Do not do this, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Timmy, I'm on the do not call list, and I still get calls. I'm sure they just concede that they're going to be breaking the law. Like, yeah, I'll call, right? And but it's a step in the right direction, and I think over the next 5 to 7 years, because it really started in Europe with what was called GDPR, and now they have the California Consumer Privacy Act. Other states are modeling this behavior around tracking of your data because these technology companies are decades ahead of us, and we're just slowly starting to realize how much they actually collect.
Yeah, and nothing with this Ring deal, nothing has changed. They're all collecting what they're collecting.
Right, look at Nancy Guthrie. It wasn't even on, and they can access it.
It'll regroup, and they'll try again. And when people have gotten over a little bit of their outrage, it's not going anywhere, folks. So keep.
No, it isn't. And what the most major case I can think of dealing with this, because law enforcement always puts forth the notion, and rightfully so, that they want to catch criminals, right? Well, there was at one point where certain police departments were driving around with heat-seeking equipment, and basically the idea that it could tell if you were growing drugs illegally in your house because of the concentration of light. And they said, no, you need a warrant for that. And the major case that came just recently in the last decade or so was Riley versus California, where if you get arrested, the police have the right to pat you down, first and foremost so that you cannot destroy the evidence. So let's say you are caught with a dime bag of marijuana or fill in the blank, so that you can't flush it down the toilet, swallow it, whatever it may be. That's number one. Number two is safety. If you have a knife, a gun, something that could harm the police officers, they can, take that into evidence. But what they did was they took this fellow's cell phone and made him open it up.
Yeah.
But they did so without a warrant. And I read a fascinating article about this. This was the first time that the justices sort of looked at it and went, whoa, I have a cell phone. I don't want you doing that. Because I don't think a lot of people, myself included, really understand how intricate this stuff is, artificial intelligence and tracking and surveillance and so forth. And so you just sort of go, yeah, I hope they're doing it for a benevolent purpose. But oftentimes they're not.
Well, another case, I don't know if you've come across, is the shooter in Canada who shot up a school. And apparently about 6 months ago, OpenAI was trying to decide whether they should let law enforcement know this person might be a problem. And OpenAI decided not to. So when we're engaging with tools like...
I don't know what the right answer is there.
Well, right? But I think the thing that struck me is while we're engaging with these tools are engaging with us, right? So it wasn't just...
So they had... OpenAI... Explain this to me. OpenAI had, learned about his behavior, or they...
Yeah, had flagged... there must have been violent content, had flagged things, and then they kicked him off the platform, and he probably went to Grok or Claude or whatever.
Well, that's the Catholic school. The kid gets pregnant, they kick him out and send him to another school. He still goes to school.
Yeah, but but what I found, Nietzsche says, if you gaze into the abyss looks into you, right? You're using the AI is looking at you. Same thing with the Ring Doorbell, right? And I think people forget that.
Yeah, and again, I think what I am hopeful about is that this ad was meant to be innocuous and make you feel good, as you said at the top, about, hey, we're getting your dogs back. But it really sort of lit a fire under people about their suspicions. Hey, if you're tracking, and I think part of it has to do with the environment we're in right now, particularly with ICE and these major cities, and people are concerned about. I mean, you hear these stories; they're just. I understand this is the United States of America. We just won the gold medal against Canada. Great. God bless the USA. I will go to my grave telling you this is the best country in the world. It doesn't mean we're without fault. And I hate to say this, but ICE is behaving like thugs. And this is not law enforcement, as Ed Davis pointed out. And I think that's part of the reason that people started sitting up and taking notice. Hey, you're advertising about my pets, but what's to stop you from using this technology to track down my neighbor who may or may not be here illegally?
Exactly.
And, the civil libertarian in me has no patience for this. But again, I don't think lawyers, congressmen, judges, and such yet are fully abreast of how pervasive it is. And I think really after 2016 with Facebook, where Congress sat up and realized, hey, this is half of these people on here pushing for Trump or against Clinton or whatever it may be were bots. I mean, it's a foreign security and national security issue.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think we agree.
And I maybe the good thing, and I always like to leave with a modicum of hope, is that people are starting to take notice.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But it also, and this is the terrible thing, Timmy, I'm still going to use Amazon. I just ordered a bicycle pump for my daughter 15 minutes before we came on this podcast.
Yeah.
And, the amount of information that Amazon must know about me has got to be incredible, right? And I'm not even that interesting. Imagine if you were interesting.
Did you see they dropped like $750 billion in market cap in the past week or something?
No, why?
I think it's their bet on AI. I'm not. I don't have any stock, but I noticed it and I was like, wow. So
it wasn't a minor blip of 2 points.
No,
it was a rather large drop.
It was a rather large drop. So.
It's just and again, the example I'll use is that TSA pre-check. You walk up, they take a picture of my face, and they go, "Oh yeah, you're good." And it's like, why do you take a picture of my face? Like,
yeah.
Kramer has a famous line in Seinfeld, and he's like, why does Radio Shack need my telephone number when I buy batteries? You
right.
know, and
yeah.
it's true. Like, why do you need this? And I think it's become so pervasive that we've gotten to the point where people are like, yeah, I'll give you this, blah, 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 but maybe we shouldn't. And to your point, maybe get off of your ass and go answer the door instead of looking at your phone.
Get yourself a few steps and open. I mean, I understand, people who, older folks with mobility issues, but most of us just get off your butt, answer your door.
Right.
Yeah.
You've seen it's like that line in My Cousin Vinny. Are you aware of the ongoing cholesterol problem in the country when he throws down this big slab of lard to make him his breakfast?
Yeah.
And it's like, are you aware of how unhealthy America is? Maybe walk to the door.
Yeah.
So... Well, Timmy, I think the good silver lining in this is innocuous as that ad was meant to be and as heartwarming as it was meant to be. All of a sudden, it made people sit up and go, "No," right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We do have some choices, and please execute them, as you can to protect your families and yourselves.
Now, to that end, is that the reason, or is it just because of who you are? Because I know you. That you have a dumb house.
No, we do.
Like you're doing that on purpose.
On purpose. I bought a Sonos, the one that doesn't have the microphone. We're careful. We're careful not to try to have a pretty darn dumb house.
You know what I have? I have, the key fobs that open the door on your car. You push the button and it unlocks your door. Mine broke. And so it's a couple $100 to replace it. And it's a 12-year-old Honda and I drive 20, 30 miles a week. Like it's a mode of transportation. I have to quite literally just put the key in the door and turn it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't that big of a deal.
No, it's no big deal.
Having crank windows, remember that? I mean,
yeah,
people are
absolutely.
Yeah. The one that I do want, though, is the one in the cold, particularly, where you can turn on the engine.
The pre-start? Yeah.
And get the heat going and everything. Yeah, imagine how great that would have been for us in high school. Like, get your car warmed up before you go.
Totally.
God. Yeah. So, well, Timmy, I had a hero, and actually, I'll do kind of a two-parter, if you will.
All right.
My hero this week was going to be Neil Gorsuch, who is a justice on the Supreme Court. He's actually, if I was going to give a political sort of description of Neil Gorsuch, I would say he's probably the most libertarian of the justices on the Supreme Court. And he specifically called out who I am going to make my whack jobs of the week. I'm picking two. And again, I think that the amount of power that these two people have and the fact that they are in fact hacks was made abundantly even further clearer this week. And by that I mean Justice Clarence Thomas and Justice Samuel Alito. And let me explain. So the Supreme Court, to their credit, under the Roberts administration, or under the Roberts guidance, it's called the Roberts Court, has really tried to rule narrowly, at least historically, his time as Chief Justice, meaning don't answer questions that aren't asked, defer legislative power to where it belongs, which is the legislature. Sometimes that comes out great, sometimes it doesn't, but I think he's pretty intellectually consistent on this point, John Roberts, I mean. And one of the things that they have established in the Supreme Court is what they call the major questions doctrine. They sort of codified it, solidified it into sort of practice precedent about 3-4 years ago under the Biden administration. And basically the premise behind it is, unless Congress, when you're talking about issues of great import that have tremendous economic impact and other things like that, unless Congress specifically authorized you to act accordingly, we're not going to let it fly. Does that make sense? Meaning the major questions doctrine is just basically saying, look, on issues of, I'll read you the core principle. It says, when an agency seeks to regulate an issue of vast economic and political significance, it must point to a clear, specific authorization of Congress, rather than relying on general, ambiguous, or decades-old statutory languages. The basic premise is, like you said, you can read into a law from the early 1900s anything you want. Mm-hmm. But what they're trying to do is basically say, look, if you meant to do this, write it accordingly, Congress. Okay. Right. So Neil Gorsuch rules against the tariffs that we talked about earlier, and they were struck down 6-3. And to his credit, and why I was going to make him my hero, but you have a hero, so I'm going to make Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito my whack jobs accordingly, is he specifically called out, look, you guys were completely in favor of the major questions doctrine, meaning Thomas and Alito, when Biden was president. Now, on an issue of extraordinary economic importance, meaning tariffs, you suddenly are dissenting. Where's the intellectual consistency? And so my whack jobs are these two brilliant men who clearly personify to me just being a political hack. They're not judges. They are just cheerleaders for your team. And I despise that, because it's like, if my guy does it, it's okay. Right. Well, ask yourself the question, what if Obama had done this? Or what if Bush had done this? Or what if Clinton had done this? They don't seem to care, and they're not trying to hide it. They are the two that have received the most gifts in history. I mean, the amount of gifts that Clarence Thomas has, he suddenly has all these wealthy friends now that he's a Supreme Court justice, is in the millions. He's just an absolute political hack, and I think it's important that people don't let that fire go out. There's nothing I can do, but I am going to make both Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito my co-whack jobs of the week.
Yeah, Blue Leaf was trying to read Thomas's dissent, and she said it didn't make a lot of sense to her. So,
yeah, again, I'm okay. You're not going to win all the time in the Supreme Court. You're not going to win all the time in politics. You're not going to win all the time in life. What I'm trying to do, and I'm not perfect on this point, I'll be the first person to tell you, I try to be intellectually consistent as much as possible. Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And it seems to me that because Biden did it, it's not okay to these guys. But now that Trump's doing it, and Trump's the furthest thing from a conservative there ever has been. He's just an anarchist. And it's so frustrating to me. And again, I won't even get into the fact that Samuel Alito's wife flew a flag upside down. And again, also January 6th was an attempted coup d'etat in the United States. I just feel it important to stress those 2 points. Those are my whack jobs.
Okay. Yeah. So my hero on the question of, well, what can you do, comes from the great country of Sweden, John. So Sweden is expending a significant amount of money to bring back books into its classroom. So they were watching their literacy scores basically plummet from around 2000 over time on these international standards for reading.
Over 2000, you're talking about the year 2000?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so in the last 25 plus
years.
Yeah,
last 20-ish, 25 plus years. So basically, this is from the BBC. So last year, the ministry invested £62 million to purchase textbooks and teacher materials, and another £40 million to buy books for libraries. So it's something, I've been harping on this. This is something we've known for decades. Kids learn better from real books. And Sweden is putting its money where its children are, and its goals and its future. And so they are they're my heroes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Everything that's old is new again, right? So,
right.
Books.
Right. Books.
Books. Is there actually studies on that children learn best when they're using textbooks?
Well, just people in general. It's honestly, it's well established.
Huh. Well, link that to the show notes, will you? Some of the interesting, because I'm always fascinated by
Yeah, I've got the
stuff.
Sweden article. Where I first came across this was a book called The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. So I'll put that in the show notes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Timmy, I appreciate the discussion. I do have hope. It's funny. It's ironic to me that you talk about dogs, which, everybody's in a good mood when you talk about dogs, right? And all of a sudden now we're having a civil libertarian discussion. But that's essentially what happened with the Ring Doorbell.
Yeah.
So, people are starting to pay attention. So, and listen, have a great week. Stay dry, stay warm, stay out of the snow. And this is John Boland signing off saying, hey, misbehave, drive fast, take chances.
And John, don't, give yourself some breaks when you're shoveling that foot of snow. This is Tim saying, if everybody likes what you're doing, you're probably not doing anything worthwhile. Let's keep talking.